Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today? I'm back. I'm here today to talk about a case in Texas. This case is similar to the Naomi Jones case that I talked about, and the fact that both of these young ladies, they were basically, I don't want to use the word stalked, but when you're in proximity to a S offender, someone that has deviant behavior, you are likely to be a target if they're seeing you every day, if they're closing in on you, picking you as a victim. It's highly likely that they're lying in wait. They are waiting for an opportunity. And an opportunity means to them when is the highest chance that they can abduct you, kidnap you, take you, or get you alone where they're not going to get caught. They don't want to get caught. I need everyone to understand. I'm trying to show you the mindset of an offender. These are predators. They walk amongst us, they live near us. They're actively searching with acute awareness of victims, possible victims. They want people that they feel they can get away with it. If it takes them to learn your schedule, if you work, if it takes them to learn your habits, if it takes them to invest their time in their secret life, this is something that is unknown. This is behavior that they're concealing, that they're hiding from their family. They could have a spouse, they could have kids. This is part of their secret life. It does not bring me any joy or happiness to keep bringing these cases, but I have to. I have to show you that there is a pattern. There is stalker qualities amongst these S offenders. They can blend in to the community. They could be someone that you know, but the part that you are not aware of, there's another side to them. This is a side that they're hiding, that they're not going to expose. They want to be able to live near you, amongst you, blend in, and not really have a lot of targets on their back because most of them, they have a problem. It's a deviant behavior that most of them cannot control. They're unable, they're incapable of doing the right thing. And sadly, it starts in small ways. They can have an affinity to kids. They can like watching kids, looking at kids, and then that can grow into something more because it starts in their thoughts. And most people, after so long, they're going to take their thoughts and then they're going to start creating behaviors. So, what could be seen in their thought life, those patterns, things that they indulge in secretly, it starts to filter into their active life. This could be something as simple as being around children, wanting to volunteer where kids are, going to Big Brother, Big Sister, and being a volunteer. going to the local community center and taking a job there or volunteering. This could be wanting to work in schools. This could be going to church and maybe volunteering in Sunday school where kids are. This could be going to, excuse me, this could be going to a park just so they can be around kids, see kids. And it grows from here. It's only going to be so long that they create these fantasies, that they're living in this fantasy in their mind. Eventually, they're going to take it to the next step. That next step could be assaulting a child. It could be a neighbor child. It could be their child's best friend that comes over for an overnight. It could be if you're volunteering, say you're in a scout troop and you're working with minors. It could be somebody that has their child there for some activities or camp. It could be if they're working out at somewhere and kids can go swimming or something like that, and they have an encounter in the bathroom. It can come out in different ways, the deviant behavior. Typically, if you have an S offender and they're arrested, they're convicted, and they go to prison, if they come back out, there's a high chance that they're going to reoffend. That number is so high that for S offenders, it's highly likely that they're going to do everything not to get caught again. And this is where it gets. I muted my phone. I apologize, and it's still making sound. I'm just going to turn it off. This makes it a highly likely chance that if they come back into society and they're starting their life over, they're going to think of ways, they're going to think of situations where they don't want to get caught, and what can they do about it, right? This is where it gets scary. A lot of them, they have to go to counseling. They have to seek help so they can come out rehabilitated. But that does not mean they're rehabilitated. They're coming back into the society which they came from, and certain things will elevate their interests. If they're in a facility, in prison, where they're not around potential victims, they may not have a heightened sense to reoffend. But when they're reintroduced back into society and they begin to see children, minors, everywhere they go, if they go to the store, if they go for a walk, if they take on a job, if they're around family members, this can trigger them to want to get back into deviant behavior. And this is why we see many past S offenders that are on the S registry. When they commit additional acts, they're usually unaliving their victims. They don't want to be found. They don't want to be discovered, and they don't want to go back to prison. So when you see them with multiple cases, say if they do 5 or 10 years in prison for their first offense, when they come back out and they reoffend, they're usually unaliving their victims because they feel that it's a high chance that they will go back to jail. And that is just the truth. And people have to be honest and tell you the truth. These are people that we see in our everyday lives that we don't know they have this secret life. We don't know the thoughts that are in them because they are potentially dangerous, but you don't see that because they're blending in. They can appear to be nice. A lot of S offenders will get their victims to willingly go with them. They will offer them things that they may have an interest in, For example, they could offer them candy. They can offer them a toy. They can offer them something that maybe the kid doesn't have and maybe they want. They can offer them something fun and that may be exciting to the child. And even though the child may be feeling a little uncomfortable, or they may even feel, I know I'm not supposed to go, but they're offering me something that I want. So they'll go. They'll take their hand and they'll walk away with them. These are not always um, snatched children. They're not always physically grabbed and stuffed into a car. Sometimes the child will willingly go with them. The other thing, a lot of times a child knows the assailant. It could be someone that's been in their circle, met their parents, live in their neighborhood. It could be someone that lives right next door. They're familiar to the child. This is not a first time meeting them. So sometimes they will believe a lie. For example, you could possibly lure a child if you told them, your mom and dad told me to pick you up. Or your mom and dad, they told me to come and get you and take you to them. When you have a small child that's more likely, I would say under the age of 10, they may believe you and they may willingly get in the car or walk with you or take your hand or enter into a house, just different circumstances, different ruses to trick them. So I want you to be prepared and to start thinking about these things if you have kids or if you're around kids or if you just care about the community, right? This is really a sad situation we have going on because they're not really fit to live in society. These S offenders, it's a deviant behavior, and a lot of them are not changing. They're not coming out rehabilitated, and typically they are finding new ways to offend, and new ways to try to conceal it and get away with it. For example, if they live in one state and they're offending in that one state, they may move to another city within the state and they may even move out of state. Another example would be they could be going by their real government name, but if they're being listed on the S offender registry, they may take a new identity and go under a different name and use that name. It's just really, really sad. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of some of the levels that these S offenders are going to go. Um, just really sad. So I'm here today. I want to talk about the case of 11-year-old Maria Gonzalez. This is a picture of her in the background, and I want to tell her story. Her story is similar to Naomi Jones in a sense. However, I think that sometimes um, you can kind of do everything you can, but when an S offender has placed his target on you, they are going to wait patiently, patiently for what they feel is an opportunity to attack. And I believe in this instance, this is what happened to Maria Gonzalez. Maria Gonzalez lived with her father in an apartment complex, similar to Naomi Jones, right? She lived in an apartment with her mom and her siblings. In this instance with Maria Gonzalez, it was just her and her dad. Now, they did have other family members that lived in the apartment complex. However, in the apartment where she lived, it was just her and her dad to all of the news reports. So when an S offender has placed his target on you and they're learning your patterns, your behaviors, for example, the hours that you work if you have a job, maybe the time that you get up and leave. And if you're leaving, is the minor going with you? They will sit and learn your patterns. They will lie in wait. And when they feel they have the best opportunity to get away with this, so nobody that they know is aware of their behavior, what they're doing. And then you're having a vulnerable moment and you're not even aware of what they're doing. That's when they attack. And unfortunately, in this instance, and the Naomi Jones case, and potentially future cases that I bring or talk about, this is what's happening. It is a level of stalking. It is a level of voyeurism, finding out where do you go, what do you do, what times. Their interest, their focus is on you. And they're looking at the patterns that you create, and they're also looking at when is their opportunity. Opportunity would be when that parent is not around to protect the child. When that parent is leaving, for example, it could be going to work, it could be running an errand, it could be going to the grocery store. They're just looking at that time. And it doesn't take a lot of time to abduct someone. And unfortunately, in Naomi Jones's case and also in Maria's case, this is what happened to both of them. And there was no parental presence. In Naomi Jones's case, her other children were there, but they were fairly young and they're not able to handle situations like this. They do not know what to do. They may be unaware. They may be trying to figure out, where is my sibling? What happened to them? Because it happens so quickly, within seconds. They can grab you, take you in, and you just don't know what happened. And you're calling your parents to say, hey, something has happened, something is wrong. So in this instance, Maria Gonzalez was at home and her dad went to work. It was on a Saturday. And immediately after he left the apartment, the assailant came knocking on the door. For him, it was an open opportunity to act. And he immediately, as soon as her father left, he was at the door knocking. And from that moment on, that clock to act, to respond, to try to prevent what happened was a very small amount of time. And unfortunately, it was not enough time to save her. So let's read what has happened. There'll be 3 different articles because I want to cover it well. The first one is from Scripps News. It's titled 11-year-old girl who was left home alone, unalived in brutal attack. This is dated August 17th, 2023. Police in Pasadena, Texas said the girl was assaulted and strangled. Authorities in Texas are trying to figure out who unalived an 11-year-old girl who was left home alone while her father was at work. According to the Pasadena Police Department, the girl, identified as Maria Gonzalez, texted her father on Saturday morning, shortly after he left for work, to tell him there was a stranger knocking on their apartment door. Right there, that tells you that they're not close in age. Maria was 11 and the assailant was 18. So they may not have known each other. She's a little girl and he's a young adult male. They would have really no reason to interact or be around each other simply because of the age difference. They probably did not have any type of close encounters. Police said that that was the last communication the father had with his daughter. The father reportedly asked family members who lived at the apartment complex to check on Maria, but they didn't find her. So, in this instance, it would have been better for Maria to stay with her family that lived in the apartment complex versus being left alone in the apartment because that really made her vulnerable. Vulnerable to a predator, to a stalker, such as the person that unalived her. When the father returned home from work Saturday afternoon, police said he located Maria's body under a bed. So again, when Maria texted her dad saying that there was a stranger knocking on the door, I feel what could have helped, he could have immediately returned home and called the police at the same time. But he remained at work, believing that his family, if he asked them to search for her, that they would find her, but they didn't. So he returned home that Saturday afternoon. So that may be several hours. And we already know it only takes a small amount of time for these ex offenders to abduct and unalive their victims. Based on the evidence, she was placed under the bed, said Pasadena Police Chief Josh Bruger during a press conference. Bruger called the attack brutal, revealing that the girl was assaulted and strangled. An autopsy was conducted on the girl's body, and Bruger said investigators are analyzing DNA evidence. In the meantime, he asked anyone who may have seen something out of the ordinary to come forward. Whoever saw something around 10 a.m. or after 10 a.m. on Saturday at that particular apartment, we're asking them to come forward with any information that they might have, Brewer said. Maria and her father had only lived at the apartment complex for 3 months, police said. They had reportedly moved from Austin. Ruger said the girl's mother lives in Guatemala, so her mom is not present in the US. And it was just her and her father. So, if you guys can remember the Naomi Jones case, when Naomi was abducted from the apartment, her mom was called by her other kids and she immediately came home from work. When she came home from work, she created those missing person flyers and she ended up giving the abductor, the killer, one of Naomi's flyers. And Naomi was actually in the back seat of his car, unalived at the time. So these people, they're very diabolical, dangerous. Okay, we're going to go on to the next article. This is also from Scripps News. The article is titled "Man Arrested Charged with the Murder of 11-Year-Old Texas Girl." And this was August 18th. So this was the next day. Juan Carlos Garcia Rodriguez, 18, was arrested in Shreveport, Louisiana. So that tells you right there, after the murder, he fled from Pasadena, Texas to Shreveport, Louisiana. He was trying to evade the police and get away. He went from one state, Texas, to another, Louisiana. Listen, I'm telling you what I know, you guys. I've seen so many of these cases. They do not want to be caught. They do not want to go to prison for their crimes. They want to get away with it. And if it takes them leaving the state, fleeing, they're going to do it. And they're unaliving their victims. So sad. I'm going to read the article, and then there's a video, so I'll let you hear that. It's pretty somewhat short. A man was arrested and charged with the unaliving of 11-year-old Maria Gonzalez. Her body was found on August 12th under a bed at an apartment in Pasadena, Texas, where she and her father had been staying. Police announced on Saturday that they arrested 18-year-old Juan Carlos Garcia Rodriguez, who was initially named as a person of interest in the case. He was located in Shreveport, Louisiana, and is awaiting extradition to Texas. Police said additional evidence allowed them to charge Garcia Rodriguez with murder. Pasadena Police Chief Josh Brugger said on Friday that a key was found near the child's remains, and it accessed a door at a nearby apartment where Garcia Rodriguez was staying. So he dropped the key to his apartment near her body in her apartment, and they were able to use the key to go to his apartment, which was nearby. The suspect reportedly told his two roommates that he was leaving last week. When they asked for the key back to the apartment, Brugger told them that he was going to keep it. He didn't have the key, Brugger. The key to that apartment was in the victim's apartment. So this is someone that is very young, 18 years old. He is inexperienced. But what happens after they continue to offend, they gain experience. So they find ways to do things better, more efficient. This is a huge mistake on his part. Leaving that key, which led directly to his apartment, which was very close to her apartment. He left it near her body when he unalived her by strangling her. Brugger said Garcia Rodriguez is from Guatemala and entered the country at the El Paso border in January. He reportedly spent time in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, prior to moving to Pasadena. So he may have some family relatives or ties to Louisiana. So when he fled from Texas, he went to where he knew people, and that was Louisiana. The 11-year-old girl's death was met with shock by many in the community. Brugger noted that responding officers were distraught after visiting the gruesome scene where the girl was assaulted and placed in a trash bag. So that's a new fact, right? You see how they held that information from the public until they got an arrest? He placed her body in a trash bag. An 11-year-old girl with so much alike. He placed her body in a trash bag. You only put garbage, things you want to discard, throw away in a trash bag. You don't put a human being in a trash bag. Maria had reportedly communicated with her father moments after he left for work, leaving him a message that there was a stranger at the door. That was reportedly the last communication he had with Maria. He found her body when he returned to the apartment. So that lets you know when she sent that text message to her father, what would have happened if he would have immediately returned home? He had been gone for just a few minutes. Would have been able to return home and catch this assailant in his apartment with his daughter? I can only even imagine the what if. We have to take things very seriously with our kids. Even if we don't know everything that's going on, if they're reaching out for help, if they're telling you something that's very disturbing, I mean, he literally had to have watched her father leave the apartment, drive off, and immediately go and knock on the door. And little Maria is thinking, let my dad know there's somebody knocking on the door. He must have been knocking aggressively for her to text that because he already knew she was in the apartment. Okay, I'm going to go on to the video because it's so upsetting to me. Let's watch the video. Let's listen to the video, please. It's a minute and a half. Trying to turn this volume up.
Found at the scene of a crime in Texas. Horrific crime leads to a teen suspected in the killing of 11-year-old Maria Gonzalez. Nearly a week after the murder of Gonzalez, authorities arrested 18-year-old Juan Carlos Garcia Rodriguez in Shreveport, Louisiana. Without going into too much of the evidence, the key is really one of the key pieces, plus some of the other witness statements that we have as far as his location and his whereabouts. Investigators say the key led to an apartment at the same complex of the murder scene, where the suspect lived with two other roommates. Authorities say DNA and additional evidence linked Rodriguez to the crime scene. This image that we're releasing today is a still image from his body camera system. An autopsy found Gonzalez was sexually assaulted and strangled to death. The victim was found in a trash bag in a clothes hamper under the bed. Gonzalez's father told authorities his daughter messaged him that someone was knocking at the door. That was the last time he heard from her. Officials say Rodriguez will be charged with capital murder. The family of Gonzalez released a statement reading in part, "May he be burdened with the full weight of the law for what he has done to my daughter." Officials say Rodriguez is from Guatemala. Back in January, immigration authorities made contact with him in El Paso, Texas. He was released to some sponsors in Louisiana. The Pasadena police chief says getting information from the Guatemalan government has been a challenge. Addie Guajardo, Scripps News.
Okay, let's go over the last article. This is from Fox News. This is dated August 27th, entitled Texas Suspect Denied Bail Over Murder of 11-year-old Maria Gonzalez. And all of these articles are on the Hidden Horror Facebook page if you want to refer to them and go back and read them. The Texas suspect who was accused of unaliving and assaulting 11-year-old Maria Gonzalez was denied bail last week. Juan Carlos Garcia Rodriguez, 18, was arrested in Shreveport, Louisiana, and charged with capital murder on August 19th. His bail request was rejected during a Thursday court appearance, according to Fox 26 Houston. Fox 26 reported that Garcia Rodriguez illegally entered the United States from Guatemala earlier this year, but was allowed to stay in the country via a sponsor in Louisiana. Maria's father, Carmelo, reported that the last contact he had with his daughter was when she sent him a WhatsApp message on August 12th about someone knocking on the door. I told her, "Don't open the door because I am arriving at work." And she responded, "I am in my bed," Carmelo said to Fox 26. She said, "I am in my bed." 11-year-old Maria Gonzalez. "I am in my bed. I am listening to you, Dad. I'm not going to open the door. I'm in my bed." Super sad, you guys. Just beyond heartbreaking. Beyond. The father arrived home at around 2:30 p.m. and told police that he found his daughter's body under her bed. Her remains were put in a plastic bag and a laundry bag before being placed in a laundry basket under a bed. Unfortunately, they left her under the bed in a plastic bag. "They left my poor daughter," the grieving father told Fox 26. Medical examiners concluded that the child died from asphyxiation via strangulation, according to Pasadena Police Department. There was also evidence that she had been assaulted as well. Authorities identified Garcia Rodriguez as a suspect after finding his key at the murder scene. The suspect had moved out of a nearby apartment and refused to give back his key, prompting a new lock to be added, and the recovered key matched the apartment's old lock. Garcia Rodriguez was last seen at the apartment complex at around 4 p.m. on Monday and fled to Louisiana after. Fox 26 reported that the suspect denied any involvement at first, but later claimed that two males forced him to unalive the child at gunpoint. You see, they're cowards. A straight coward to do this to an 11-year-old. I don't want to get started. I was just so angry. Authorities are actively investigating the incident. Anyone with relevant information is urged to call Detective Quintanilla or Detective Mata. When I look at this picture of this person, he's got to be at least 6 feet tall. 6 feet tall. I can't show him here. And he did this to this tiny little 11-year-old girl. He's a effing coward. He's a coward. Disgusting. He's an adult. He can't meet a woman and have a normal relationship, a dating relationship. Does that take too much social skills? You have to target this tiny 11-year-old girl that's in the 5th or 6th grade. You guys. This is for awareness. This is for awareness. It's almost as if you're wearing a mask. They're wearing a mask in their life. But every now and again, that mask slips. And the real person, how they really feel, what they really think, what they're trying so hard to conceal from society, it comes out. It's in their secret life. And what did he do? He immediately went and blamed somebody else. They are not going to take responsibility. They do not want to go to prison. They're not going to tell the truth. They're not going to admit responsibility. And we need to know this. We have to be vigilant. It should not take something bad to keep happening to us, to our children, to victims that survive and have to go on with their life, picking up the pieces when bad things happen. This 6 foot something grown man, he immediately blames somebody else. They made me do it. But how did your DNA? They're never going to tell you about the assault. They're never going to do it. In Gretchen Harrington's case with the pastor, he admitted to the strangulation, but they overlooked the assault. This is deviant behavior. They know it's wrong. He overlooked the assault. That pastor overlooked the assault. And he's not even mentioning the assault. He says, oh, they made me do it by gunpoint to strangle her. He just overlooks the assault. They're liars. And they're out here and they live across the street. They live next door. They're in plain sight. We need to use the S offender registry to find out who they are, who lives near us. They're going to the same stores. They're at the park. They may even be at the schools. You need to know who they are. There's free online searches that you can do for criminal records, for offender registries all across the country. We need to utilize them because what did he do? He left Texas, had just said they're going to run. They're going to change their name. They're going to go to another city. They're going to go to another state and run. That's why they put the connection that he was not here legally. He had a sponsor in the state of Louisiana. So what did the police think? Let's go to the sponsor. And where's he at? In Shreveport, Louisiana, probably with the sponsor. That's how they found him. I need you guys to take this information, take this fact pattern. I laid it out and share it. Tell someone else. Let's have a moment of silence for Maria. Let's try to remember her and just lift her up in light. Lift her family up, her mom who's in Guatemala, her dad who's just buried her, her family. Lift her up in light right now. Maria Gonzalez, 11-year-old Maria Gonzalez. There have been so many kids. We can do something about it. We'll fight back. It's about prevention, guys. Prevention is powerful. Please, please, I don't ask for any subscribers or like my video. I don't care about that. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. I don't care. If you want to like the video, I don't care. This is about sharing knowledge so we don't keep getting these stories. So we can have some prevention on the front end. So we can know some of the mindset of these criminals. So we can be better prepared. Share this information, please. I don't ask for anything. I just want you to share the information. Because these predators, most of them are not rehabilitated. They're finding ways, they're learning ways to get away with it. And a lot of that is unaliving their victims. Please check out some of my other videos. I have the Naomi Jones story. It's on there. Please check it out. Very much similarities. Some similarities to Gretchen Harrington, the strangulation. Somebody that's close to the victim, just like in Naomi Jones' case, living in an apartment complex. Somebody that's living very close to her. They're not changing, they're just evolving. And when I say evolving, I mean their deviant behaviors, their methods, how they're trying to get away with it, being more acute about the stalking, finding what time to commit a crime, because they don't want to get caught. They don't want to go to prison. Sometimes it takes a year. The great thing now is we have technology, we have DNA, we have cameras, we have phones, we have ways to get the information out. We have the Amber Alert. My daughter has an interest on coming on to talk about the Amber Alert. She's very interested in how do we get the Amber Alert. So we're going to do a joint video soon, maybe today or tomorrow, about the Amber Alert. She cares. She wants to help protect kids also. It's important to her to get this message out. We don't want any more victims, and we know the reality is we're going to keep getting them until we can get these people off the street, removing them from society. There's no place for them in society. They cannot control, they cannot alter their deviant behaviors. Look at the case of Michael Kelly that I did. He's a senior, still continually being arrested for deviant behaviors. Not too often do I appeal to you guys. Please share the information. Please. Okay. Thank you for checking out this video. I hope you check out some of my other videos. I hope and pray that you share this information. And I ask that you remember the victims and their families. Say a prayer for them also. As this channel is about policing, it's about crime prevention, it's about forensics. We're bringing you in to the world so you can see how the police, how some of these crimes are structured, so you can understand the mindset of these criminals. So we can have prevention on the front end. We can possibly save someone on the front end. Stay safe, be smart, be savvy, show love one to another. I bless all of you, mankind. Be well. And hopefully I'll see you in a future video. Thank you. Thank you so much for checking out this video. It's so important for you to know and understand the mindset of these S offenders. Please share it with somebody you know, please. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Hopefully I'll see you in a future video. Take care, everybody. Bye to all my friends. Bye.